Move, anything! I must think!
Bad news. No sign of quiet Lemos here either.
Ugh, damn it. Can you check the transponder? Maybe they embedded another clue.
Harwa, I made it this far, but something's not right. I know I wasn't spotted by any order, but I can't shake this feeling that I'm being watched. Doesn't matter. I'll get your brother back. Until then, I gotta...
Count every measure. Sound out the cage. Bar by bar by bar by bar. Death is leisure. Resting is age. Echoing far, far, far.
That voice. Where do I know it from? Well, they sounded fine for like 90% of that, right?
That's not exactly reassuring. But wait, the transponder's moving. It's headed to... Oh, Maker, that's Crawler's Folly. That cave is off limits to augurs.
But not to me. Whatever's going on, I'll crack it. Okay, I'm on site. What's this place called again?
Crawler's Folly. They say Revelatory Lottie was the first to find it. He was this young Bolt-Tech prodigy, but then Rippers took his family, and he suffered some kind of mental break. Kept repeating cryptic sayings like, the way out is in. Anyway, Lottie went into that cave, and no one ever saw him again. Now people say his tortured spirit haunts the place. Folks claim you can hear the dead moaning in there. Even the Order avoid it.
What the hell are those things? They look like augers, but gross.
Oh, no wonder people thought the cave was haunted. The moaning they heard? It must be from those things. They seem pretty human, but just twisted.
Cheers. often cited as the pinnacle of looter shooters, and it's one of my favorite games, but despite all that, there are still some problems with the game. This is everything wrong with Borderlands 2. Starting off with the most obvious one, the in-game balancing. Now, maybe this isn't an issue for the hardcore players out there, but most players absolutely despise the OP levels. Now, I will say this, I actually like Digistruct Peak a lot. I think that the map is awesome, and I love the concept of it, but the way you progress through OP levels is just atrocious. First, you hit level 80, which by the way, you can only do if you own the Commander Lilith DLC now, and then you enter Digistruct Peak. Once you beat it, you unlock OP level 1. You can still use the same gear for maybe 3 or 4 OP levels if you got a pretty good build, and then your gear starts to fall off too hard, and guess what you got to do after that? You got to go refarm all your gear. Heck, if your build requires mission rewards like the Pimpernel or Sandhawk, then you have to go reset ultimate mode and replay the story again, just to get another weapon that you can use for maybe 3 or 4 more OP levels before you have to do it all over again. And the reward for unlocking OP10? Absolutely nothing. There is no increase to your loot drop chances, there's no trophy, there's no achievement, there is nothing.
You lose! Good day, sir!
However, you do get broken versions of Hyperius and Veracitus, whose health values got borked when they added OP10, so that's fun. Speaking of raid bosses, with those being pretty much the only end game on Borderlands 2, it's kind of depressing to me that most players aren't able to solo them without abusing glitches. I mean, this still falls under in-game balancing, but I felt like it needed to be said. You should be able to build your Vault Hunter into a badass, and with skill and tactics be able to beat every raid boss on your own without cheating. And sure, some people can do that, but they're like the elite 1% of players. Also, it's annoying to try and even spawn in Vermivorous. Plus, Dexidius, one of the worst raid bosses ever, requires you to drive all over a map, spend most of your iridium to summon them, only to get a big pile of garbage loot. And why do OP10 raid bosses drop green and white items? In what possible way does this make any sense? Terramorphous loot has become a meme on my channel because of just how sad it is to defeat a challenging in-game piece of content and get absolutely zero reward for it. Now, backtracking for a moment to touch a little bit more on something I said earlier, the Commander Lilith DLC introduced a lot of cool new things: new loot midget farm, giant loot midget farm, and an awesome tubby enemy farm, but it also destroyed your ability to do the OP levels at all unless you paid for this DLC. Now, you could look at that as a good thing or a bad thing, but people paid for the OP levels DLC. Now that paid content got locked behind an additional paywall. I highly doubt this was on purpose, so hopefully Gearbox sees this along with all these other suggestions and pushes out a final patch for this game. The next biggest issue I and many other players have with Borderlands 2 is slag and how crucial it becomes in ultimate mode and OP levels. With enemies constantly healing themselves in ultimate mode and beyond, you need to be able to debuff them so that they take more damage. Gearbox's solution to this? Slag. Even Randy Pitchford himself said that slag was a horrible idea in hindsight. Borderlands 3 changed things up and gave you fully optional ways to debuff enemies, including within the character skill trees themselves, and that's a far better solution. Not being able to skip cutscenes in Borderlands 2 is just absolutely brutal to me, since the game requires you to do 3 story playthroughs per character to get to max level. Here's hoping that the next Borderlands game has cutscene skip and dialogue skip at launch. Speaking of 3 playthroughs, this is where Borderlands 3 absolutely nailed it. True Vulnerable Mode in Borderlands 3 is